Hello again and welcome back, ghouls and goblins. I hope you're having a magical day and thank you as always for taking the time to support the channel. My name's Hello Good Game and I am pleased to be your host within this Magic the Gathering video in which we will be showcasing the latest Murders at Karlov Manor spoilers. The latest set for Magic the Gathering will be available at your local game store within the pre-release event on the 2nd and playable in Arena on the 6th. All right, so we do have a bunch of parts to this video series. They're all put into a playlist for you. Check them all out. We're going through the cards as they come out at a handful at a time, right? So this is going to, really help us digest the cards a little bit better rather than being overwhelmed. So cheers. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and like I said, check out those other videos, and let's get after it.
It's a new lap record!
Here we are picking up right where we left off with the Gearbane Orangutan for 3 mana. This is a 2/2 with reach. When it enters the battlefield, choose 1. Destroy up to 1 target artifact. Sacrifice an artifact. If you do, put 2 +1/+1 counters on the Gearbane. A 4/4 for 3 with reach is, nothing special. The ability to destroy an artifact is pretty cool too. And the 2/2 with reach is actually quite terrible. So, it's just a common card. Nothing fancy. Private Eye for 3, a 3/3 detective that is going to be fairly important within this set. Other detectives you control get +1/+1. So that's quite nice. As it is a non-legendary, you can stack this creature, having multiple copies in play, and whenever you draw your second card each turn, target detective can't be blocked this turn, which is actually quite impactful as well, I believe, specifically as this is a non-legendary, and not only will the Lord effect, the +1/+1 stack, but also its secondary ability for when you're drawing your second card each turn, target detective can't be blocked this turn. So multiple unblockable attackers, I think, is not bad. And there's probably, a free-to-play deck to build around this. There's definitely going to be your limited decks built around this as well. Vannifar Evolved Enigma, 4 mana, 3/4, legendary creature, Elf Ooze Wizard. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, choose 1, cloak a card from your hand, put a +1/+1 counter on each colorless creature you control. So I do believe that the cloak mechanic will be very powerful, specifically if you're cloaking from your hand or from the top of your library. It's a weird feeling, but I'm interested to see how it plays out. It's not as cut and dry, I don't think, but very, very good, I suspect. Persuasive Interrogators, 6 mana, 5/6. As it enters the battlefield, investigate. So it's just the creation of a clue. You pay 2, sacrifice the clue, drawing a card. So the nice thing about the clue tokens, I'll reiterate this again for those of you in the back, is that you do not have to tap the clue to sacrifice it. You just have to pay 2. So you can actually tap that artifact with something else, potentially, and then still sacrifice it, gaining a little bit of additional value. Whereas like a blood token or treasure, that it needs to be tapped during that sacrifice process. So you can't pre-tap it and then still sacrifice it with itself. And whenever you sacrifice a clue, target opponent gets 2 poison counters. Great. I just don't like toxic. It was really cool when there was like the Fang Bearer, and that's, it was like, wow, I wish there was more toxic in the game, but they just overloaded the game with toxic, and I think the poison decks are so good that, I'm good for a bit. Forensic Researcher, 3 mana, Merfolk Detective, 1 power, 3 toughness, and you can tap it to untap another target permanent you control. That's not bad by any means. We can also tap it to collect evidence 3. So this will be exiling cards with total mana value 3 or greater from our own graveyard. And if we do so, we get to tap target creature we don't control, right? So untapping our own permanents, I think it's very, very good. And then, being able to lock down your opponent's creatures is, just an today, Junior, an added bonus. Hedge Whisperer for 1 mana, a 0/3 elf druid detective, and you may choose to not untap the Whisperer during your untap step. And this is because we'll pay 4 and tap it to collect evidence 4. And again, exiling cards from our own graveyard with total mana 4 or more. And a target land we control will become a 5/5 green plant boar creature with haste for as long as the Hedge Whisperer remains tapped. And it's still a land, and this activation happens only at sorcery speed. Not bad. A 0/3, good defender. It can activate a land to be a fairly substantial attacker as well within that 5/5. Furthermore, I do think the collect evidence may be abusable with something like the tree folk, right? Like whenever a card leaves your graveyard, for example, it could be multiple triggers on that, which is decent. Herod Dronesmith for 4, 2/3. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. It gains haste until the end of turn. Sacrifice it at the beginning of your next end step, which is kind of a bummer, right? You think it would be 2 creatures for 1, and it kind of is, but if it's sacking itself, like, you basically want to have something else to sacrifice it, so you're gaining that value. But, it's pretty expensive, right? Next up, we have a red enchantment, Connecting the Dots. When a creature you control attacks, exile the top card of your library face down. We can pay 2, discarding our hand, which preferably will be empty, or, just like a land we don't need. Sacrificing it, putting all cards exiled with it into our hand. I honestly think that this is fairly playable. I know it's not dealing damage, right? But it is a non-creature. It's going to trigger prowess. And Lord knows there's plenty of combat damage being dealt with the attackers. Not only in mono red, but, in a few other decks. And it's good. I think you could get a couple extra cards here. Again, you do have to pay 2, which isn't great, but the potential draw could be nice. It would be better if it was a creature, maybe, or a damage-based spell, but I'm interested in trying it, I think it could be good. Maybe unneeded, but worth trying. Draw engines aren't bad. Get 3, 4 attacks in. Empty hand, brand new hand almost. And this sacrifice, I believe, can be done at instant speed as well. It's not subject to sorcery speed, so I think that makes it pretty decent. One of the more interesting cards that we're seeing today. Where have you taken me? It's like, check out all these cards, dude. We have something to show you. We're gonna jump back up to the top here. We do have a lot of cards to get through today. As you can see. Next up, the Pride of Hulklade. 11 mana. A 2-power, 15 toughness legendary creature, Crocodile Elk Turtle. The spell will cost X less to cast, where X is the total toughness of creatures you control, and it does have Defender. Pretty cool, actually. We see this Defender deck being built passively, set by set. Still, it needs a lot more, I think, than this, but it is nice to see. And, let's also think of non-standard defender decks as well that already exist. Paying 4 until the end of turn, target creature you control gets +1/+0 and gains whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player. Draw cards equal to its toughness. And, can attack as though it didn't have defender, which is pretty cool, right? So it takes defender off not only itself, but other creatures as well. And, opening up what could be just the world's biggest draw, right? Just casual draw 15. Well, yeah. It's fine. Anyways, moving on. The concealed weapon, a new artifact equipment for 2. Equipped creature gets +3/+0. Disguise for 3. And when it's turned face up, attach it to a creature you control. So this is actually not terrible. We don't mind it. Obviously a little expensive, but you can flip it at instant speed. So if you do, you get the equip. No toughness increase, but maybe now you get the trade that they weren't expecting. Maybe first strike or double strike is going to get you ahead, and you don't care about the toughness. Limited stuff, right? Oh, are you going to do this to me all day? Don't you? Oh, okay, we found the card. My internet is not great. Bro. You can do it! All I needed was a little encouragement. Drag the canal for 2. Instant speed. Create a 2/2 white and blue detective creature token. If a creature, died this turn, you gain 2 life, surveil 2, and then investigate. The creation of a clue token. Plus you get the 2/2. And you gain 2 life, and you surveil 2. There's just a lot of value here, right? Very decent card. We don't mind it whatsoever. It's instant speed as well, which is great. So very cool. Museum Night Watch, 4 mana, 3/2. When it dies, create a 2/2 blue and white detective creature token. We can disguise it for 2, right? So that's quite nice. Of course, like all disguise creatures, paying 3 generic for all of them, and flipping it for that disguise cost if you're unfamiliar. It will be a 2/2 with War 2 while disguised. Again, if you've not watched the previous videos where we've explained the new mechanics. The Jaded Analyst for 2, a 3/2 with Defender, and whenever you draw your second card each turn, the Analyst loses Defender and gains Vigilance until the end of turn. Not too shabby. Macabre Reconstruction, 4 mana, sorcery speed, 2 less to cast if a creature was put into your graveyard from anywhere this turn. Not bad. And return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. Goblin Mask Maker for 1. Goblin Citizen creature, 1 power, 2 toughness. Whenever Goblin Mask Maker attacks, face down spells you cast this turn cost 1 less to cast. Interesting. I'm not entirely certain whether or not we will see enough to make this playable, but within a deck that's focusing around the disguise mechanic, great. Granite Witness, 4 mana, a 3/2 with Flying and Vigilance, disguise 2. When it's turned face up, you may tap or untap target creature. Definitely not bad, right? The Flying, the Vigilance, pretty cool. 4, you can tap or untap. Like that's if you do disguise, which is not terrible, right? So I like to see, this is a good example of this. A card that is decent, it's a 4 mana, 3/2 with Flying and Vigilance, right? You can disguise it for not quite a discount, but on curve would be an earlier play, right? Similar to Foretell, right? And I think that this is a good example of a well-valued disguise card, because there are some disguise cards which are, you know, maybe not this good. We'll see if we can find one. Escape Tunnel, and that's a common card as well, which is quite nice, right? So sacrifice it, putting it, searching your library for a basic land, putting it into the battlefield tapped and shuffling it. And target creature with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn, as you could just sacrifice it as well. So, fine. Not great, though. You know, it's the land that you sack for comes in tapped, so that's garbage. As well as it not tapping for generic mana, which is also garbage. But the unblockable is added utility to a specific deck. Nervous Gardener, I know, right? For 2 mana, a 2/2 with Disguise 1. Not bad. And when it's turned face up, search your library for a land with a basic land type. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Hand? Come on. Put it right into the battlefield. Projector Inspector. 3 mana, 3/2. When it or another detective enters the battlefield under your control, and whenever a detective you control is turned face up, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. So, you know, there's pretty clear that the white and blue disguised detective deck will like to draw multiple cards each turn. The Red Herring, 2 mana, 2/2, haste, attacks each combat if able, and we can pay 2 sacrifices to draw a card. Not terrible. Not terrible. Doppelgang for 2+ triple X. There's Vin Diesel's in the art. Yes! For each of the X target permanents, for each of X target permanents, create X tokens that are copies of that permanent. Okay, so this is actually very good. I had to double take this. A little expensive, but a way to copy any permanent is very good. You know, typically it is quite hard to copy non-creature permanents. So this is interesting. You know, I'm seeing a Temur deck here with Chandra. Dare I say a Mirror Box, which is probably really bad, but could be cool. And then just like an army of Chandras that all just keep copying this. Lear, Disciple of the Drowned in deck as well, so you can recast it from the grave with your army of yes. I don't know, right? Could be good. So that's a cool jank card. That's fun. That's fun. Fugitive Codebreaker, 2 mana, 2/1, prowess and haste. Goblin Rogue, disguise 6. Holy Toledo's. It is reduced by 1 for each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard, however. And when it's turned face up, discard your hand and then draw 3 cards. Oh, that's good. That's just very, very good. The prowess is nice. The haste is nice. As a 2/1 for 2. Base stats check out. Plus, it has the ability late game to draw you 3 cards. Not too shabby. That's very good. Case of the Locked Hot House. 4 mana. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. What? Domain has entered the chat. To solve, you must control 7 or more lands. And once solved, you may look at the top card of your library at any time, and you may play lands and cast creature and enchantment spells from your library. Whoa! So that's good advantage. Really good advantage. Dang, dude. Solve at the beginning of your end step. Okay. That's not bad. lands, creatures, and enchantments. And then another copy of itself to play another land, but it's going to reflip as soon as... Can you choose not to solve? Question mark. And it's like, do you want to solve this? Or can you just pick, nah, I just want to keep it? That's my question here. Essence of Antiquity. 5 big ones. A 1/10 artifact creature golem. Disguise 3. And as it is turned face up, creature you control gains hexproof until the end of turn. Creatures, plural, and untap them. Huh. I mean, not terrible. I like hexproof on the team. Typically, you know, hexproof only needs 1, but if they're somehow multi-targeting, I guess untapping them's cool too. But weird. Repulsive Mutation, 2+X, instant speed, X +1/+1 counters on target creature you control, and then counter up to 1 target spell unless its controller pays mana equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. Are you kidding me? Yeah. Yeah. YES. Simic Tempo has entered the chat. Bro. I already have this deck built. This goes in there perfectly. That's so good. Dang, dude. People are going to be very upset with this card. Sorry, Sunfall. All right, moving on. For 4 mana, Chalk Outline. As an enchantment, whenever 1 or more creatures leave your graveyard, create a blue and white detective. Of course, it's a 2/2 and investigate. Not bad. Obviously, it's a little expensive. But again, we talked about how that can maybe be abusable, where cards are leaving your graveyard with the investigate mechanic, and I think that's a nice synergy there. Could be a limited investigate deck that does quite well, that incorporates green, as this is just a 4 mana uncommon card that has good synergy and potential value. Green Belt Radicals. This is a 4 mana Centaur Citizen with Disguise 7. When it's turned face up, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. All creatures you control gain trample until the end of turn. That's an expensive disguise. Holy Toledos. A 4/4 for 4. Interesting. The Pompous Show-Off, Human Citizen, has hexproof as long as it's your turn. And it can't be blocked by creatures without names. It can't be blocked by... Oh, the tokens, right? Creature tokens typically don't have names. It's like a 2/2 samurai, or a 2/2 detective, or whatever they are, right? So, yeah, cool. Cool beans. Disguise creatures. Or the 2/2s with ward. Are they called detectives when they're flipped? I don't know. Moving on. We have Case of the Burning Mask. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 3 damage to target creature and opponent controls. To solve it, 3 or more sources you control have dealt damage this turn. Okay. Sacrifice the case, exile the top 3 cards of your library. Choose one of them only and play this card. Meh. It's fine. You know what I mean? It's removal and limited. 3 damage is going to be good. An extra card's not bad, but cool for Yorion, maybe. I don't know. Bounce that. But 3, is that worth it? I don't think so. Mistway Spy, 1 mana, Merfolk Detective, 1/1 with Flying, Disguise 2 if it's turned face up. Until the end of turn, whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, investigate. That's not bad. Only until end of turn, though, when it's turned face up. Okay, maybe it's not great. A 1/1 with flying for 1 isn't terrible, though. And, the clue tokens are good, too. So, I'll allow it. Corvold Haunch, 1 mana. Food equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+0. Pay 2, tap it, sacrifice the Haunch. You gain 3 life. And whenever it's put into the graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay an additional 2. When you do, create 2 1/1 white dog creature tokens. Equip for 2. Interesting. Yep. Do Diligence for 3 and Aura. When it enters the battlefield, target creature you control other than enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and gains Vigilance until the end of turn. Interesting. Enchanted creature will also receive the +2/+2 and have Vigilance itself. Seasoned Consultant for 2, a 1/3. Whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures, the Consultant gets +2/+0 until the end of turn. Yeah. Agency Corner. 5 mana, 3/6. Pay 3, sacrifice another creature, draw a card. If that creature was suspected, draw 2 cards. That's going to be really good and limited, right? Clandestine Meddler, 3 mana, 3/2. When it enters the battlefield, suspect up to 1 other target creature you control. And whenever 1 or more suspected creatures you control attack, surveil 1. It's a vampire, I guess. I don't know. Polygraph Orb, 5 mana, an artifact, and as it enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library, putting 2 of them into your hand, and the rest into your graveyard, losing 2 life. Okay. Paying 2, tapping it, collecting evidence 3. Each opponent loses 3 life unless they discard a card or sacrifice a creature. Okay. That's, I think, really good and limited. Not bad. Good enough. Repeat Offender, 2 mana, 2/1, pay 3. If it's suspected, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Otherwise, suspect it. Okay. Aftermath, Analyst, 2 mana, 1/3. When it enters the battlefield, mill 3 cards. We can pay 4, sacrifice it to return all land cards from the graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So that's a thing. Not bad. Typically, we pay 4 mana for that spell anyways, don't we? So this has a creature attached to it as an elf detective. Interesting. Get a leg up for 1. Not saying it's crazy good, but it's there. Get a leg up, 1 mana, instant speed until the end of turn. Target creature gets +1/+1 for each creature you control and gains reach. Not terrible. Pick your poison, 1 mana, sorcery speed. Choosing 1, each opponent sacrifices an artifact or enchantment. Each opponent sacrifices a creature with flying. So, choosing 1 mana, sorcery speed, not bad. Again, if they have multiples, it's non-targeted. But it being non-targeted to begin with, if there's a single, is very good. Right? It's not, destroy target. So, there's maybe sideboard potential here. Rakish Scoundrel, 4 mana, Elf Rogue, 3/3 with Death Touch, and when it enters the battlefield or is turned face up, target creature gains indestructible until the end of turn. Disguise for 6, though. That's a lot of mana. Innocent Bystander for 2, a 2/1, and whenever it is dealt 3 or more damage, investigate. Interesting. It's a goblin, if that helps. Moving on, for 7 mana, we have Relive the Past at sorcery speed, returning up to 1 target artifact card, up to 1 target land card, up to 1 target non-aura enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. They are now 5/5 elemental creature tokens in addition to their other types. So we're looking again probably for artifact and enchantments that have powerful ETBs or something like this, some form of value generating effect. from your graveyard as well. So, you know, A, it's so expensive. B, your opponent can interact with your grave, and, you know, that's not great. C, they can just straight up counter it. But the 3/5/5s don't seem terrible, as well as, you know, hopefully they're generating value when they come back, as you know. And also, you know, maybe you got value from them earlier on as well, right? Like maybe there were things that you sacrificed to do a specific thing. There's hope. A little expensive, but sometimes, you know, breach the multi. Oh, wow, what an expensive card, Atali. Oh, wow. You know, sometimes it can be good, right? The Voltage Strider. Yeah. Collect Evidence 6. Good luck on that. It does become an artifact creature until the end of turn without having to crew it, which is only crew 2, so not bad. And when it attacks, you can cast an instant or sorcery from among the exiled cards with it, so you actually might want to do that. And if that spell would be put into the graveyard, put it on the bottom of its owner library instead. Oh, crew 2. Interesting. 3 mana, 4/4. Huh. Playable card, question mark? Not bad. I mean, how many times can you collect Evidence 6, though? Probably not a ton. But you only need to do it once. And then after the first time, because you want to collect evidence probably the first time. And then after that, you can just crew it. Because there's, you know, depending on what's in, maybe you want another thing. I don't know. We'll see. That looks good. Da-na-na-na-na. Blood Splatter Analysis. 2 mana enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, it will deal 3 damage to target creature and opponent controls. And whenever one or more creatures die, mill a card and put a bloodstain counter on the analysis. And whenever you sacrifice it, oh, no. Then just straight up sacrifice it. If it has 5 or more blood counters on it, when you do, return target creature from your graveyard to your hand. Meh. I mean, it's not bad. Maybe the milling of cards is good here, right? That's really the only engine here. To grab a creature back is basically irrelevant. It's good value, but whatever. The 3 damage is nothing to write home about for 2. Honestly, it doesn't even hit planeswalkers, just creatures. So maybe, I don't know. You're really going to need to take advantage of that mill mechanic somehow, I think. Prof's Edict Memory. Pardon my pronunciation and illiteracy. 2 mana. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. You have no maximum hand size. Interesting. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, if you've drawn more than 1 card this turn, put X +1/+1 counters on target creature you control, where X is the number of cards that you've drawn this turn, -1. What? I'll allow it. Bro, that's so good. Dang, dude. I'm impressed. Archdruid's Charm for 3, instant speed, choosing 1, searching your library for a creature or land card, revealing it, putting it into the battlefield tapped if it's a land card, otherwise putting it into your hand, then shuffle, putting a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. It deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. Exile target artifact or enchantment. Not terrible. It's a green instant speed spell, though, for like triple green mana, which means it's probably not being played elsewhere. Gives green hold up instant speed mana? They do now. The Barbed Servitor. 4 mana, 1/1, artifact creature construct, indestructible, entering the battlefield, suspecting itself, giving it now menace and attacking each combat if able. And whenever the servitor deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Okay. And when it is dealt damage, target opponent loses that much life. Oh! That's a good card. That is acceptable. I like that. Power it up so they can't put a minus effect on it. Have multiple creatures so they can't force a non-targeted sacrifice. Cool. Corner Trickster. 5/4 for 5. When it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice an artifact. When you do, it deals 3 damage to any target. Not bad. Honestly, not bad. For a limited card, of course. Then we have the Daredevil Detective, a 0/3 for 2. When it attacks, you may sacrifice an artifact or discard a card. If you do, draw a card, and it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Not terrible. Honestly, not terrible. And then finally, the Tunnel Tipster. Don't even. A Mole Scout. There's the joke right there. 1/1, and at the beginning and step, if a face-down creature entered the battlefield under your control this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on the Tipster. Plus, it taps to add 1 mana. Okay. Definitely allowable then. The ramp is nice. Plus, it has additional value to generate within the right deck. Not bad at all. So we are crushing through the cards. 170 out of 233 cards revealed so far. So hopefully within 1 or 2 more videos, we have the complete set laid out, at which point we can begin theory crafting, building new decks. Unfortunately, the early access event was canceled, right? So we're all going to be playing these new cards together at the same time, which is super exciting. The only letdown is that I don't get to play against the other creators all day, right? That was the funnest part. It's like always playing against another creator. It's pretty rewarding, right? I'm sure you'll understand. It is the same for us. We like to play against creators as well. So, with that being said, thank you all for watching. I hope you have an absolute magical day. Oh no. What have I done? And check out the other parts of the spoiler videos that we have. Again, going through just a handful of cards in each video. It takes a bit of time, especially with my level of comprehension to get through it, right? So it's a 40-minute video. Again, it is quite taxing to do them all in one with my level of comprehension. So we break it up, make it a little bit easier for myself, and I'm sure for you as well. Thank you so much. Have a magical day, and we'll see you soon in the next.